What's going on, Tech and Flow family? In this video, we're going to talk about bonds. What is a bond? Well, a bond is really a debt instrument. It's a way that a company or an organization or a government can raise capital, right? Again, they can go to a bank. We talked about in another video, they can issue stock, or they can have bonds. Now, a bond is nothing more than a promise to pay back with some kind of interest rate that's usually known as a coupon. And so effectively, you as the investor, as the lender, would go to this company or organization or government would come to you and say, hey, we need dollars. And usually bonds are broken up into $1,000 increments. Sometimes they're 5 or 10,000. There's different, types of bonds, but usually 1,000 is the status quo. And so you'd hand them this $1,000. They would promise you a coupon or an interest rate. Let's just call it 5%. So 5% of 1,000 is $50. So that's your interest, and that's a per annum interest, meaning a per year interest. You agree upon a repayment term. Either they're going to split that interest up and pay it monthly or pay it quarterly. Maybe they'll just pay it annually. But by the end of the year, you've received that $50 in interest. Then there's a separate term that says the time that it's going to be held for. So let's just say it's 10 years. So the company is going to hold on to your money, that $1,000, for 10 years. At the end of the 10 years, they're going to hand you your $1,000 back. But for every year that they've held on to it, they have to pay you that coupon, that interest rate. Now, again, there are some that the interest rate remains the same. It's stagnant the whole time. There's some where the interest rate increases. You also can incorporate prepayment penalties, right? So you've handed your money. You're locking in this idea of that 5% for those 10 years. But what happens if rates dip down and now it's easier for people to go get money for 3%, right? Now your 5% isn't very favorable to the company or the organization or, again, the government. So they're trying to give you your $1,000 back because they can go get $1,000 at 3% rather than 5%. So in order to block that, some bonds will have prepayment penalties. There are also really creative type of bonds where you can give that company dollars, and there's a conversion clause on the back end of it that basically says you can convert this bond, this note, this agreement with this, again, company, government, organization, and now you can take an equity percentage. So now it works like a bond, like a lending instrument, but then it also works like a stock, and so now you've got equity. Now, bonds are very, very useful and creative tools. I think there's a lot of miseducation, a lot of misunderstanding, and people just don't exactly understand how they work. If you're an investor that likes income over growth, or you're an investor that wants to use that income to reinvest into some other type of asset, or you just like the protection of knowing that it's debt, because one of the other benefits of debt versus equity is that if the company tanks and you have equity, you got no recourse. You were just part owner. So you got to ride the high and ride the lows. With the bond, there's an agreement. Dollars have to be repaid. So even if that company defaults or goes bankrupt, there's got to be some recourse on the back end for getting dollars. Now, it may take time, but you get them. So if you like those benefits, again, schedule time with one of our coaches, one of our people on our team, and we'd be glad to help give direction.